Hi, I'm psychologist Kyle Sheveldayoff. I work in Victoria, British Columbia, and this is a short video to inform you and educate you on what MBCT is and if it might be beneficial for you. So MBCT is mindfulness-based cognitive therapy designed by these three psychologists, originally investigating how they can better help people with depression. And they consulted with John Kabat-Zinn, who's a PhD physiologist who invented or created what is called mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR. John Kabat-Zinn was really the person, the researcher that brought mindfulness meditation from the Eastern world into the Western world and then showed scientifically just how powerful it is, especially in the area of reducing the stress response, which I'll get into with you. So I'll show you a short little presentation here that will let you understand this better. So here you can see we have these two dials, these two circles. Consider these two circles as two different systems that activate inside of us in response to the stimuli around us or how we perceive things. And so we have a stress dial on the left. That's our sympathetic nervous system, which these sound like big words, but once you get used to them, they're actually quite easy to relate to and understand. So the left dial is this stress dial, this sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight, or freeze response. We all have felt that happen in the past. And on the right, we have a relaxation dial, a parasympathetic nervous system. And that's our more rest and digest sort of system. And where this gets important is understanding what ingredients seem to activate these two systems. Obviously, knowing that the sympathetic nervous system, the fight, flight, or freeze system, dumps cortisol and epinephrine and norepinephrine and these different toxic components biochemically inside of us that we can't keep for long. And the average person would know that we don't want to feel a sympathetic nervous system response all the time. We just couldn't keep that up. So if we look at the ingredients on the left, we can see negative thoughts, anxiety, which are often negative thoughts as well, stress, judgment, attachment to something, this kind of rigidity, this self-centeredness, which sometimes happens if someone's going through a really difficult time, or they're feeling judged themselves, or maybe they're going through some depression and they're very isolated and focused on themselves, and anger, or having a really short fuse. So all of these different things can activate this stress dial response. And on the other side, we can see what are the ingredients that will help us with the relaxation response to turn up that relaxation dial. They're almost the opposite of the ones on the left. So positive thoughts, mindfulness, which might be better understood as, at this point anyways, better understood as present moment awareness, awareness of your senses, and acceptance, or being non-judgmental. These different components, again, are the opposite ingredients of what we're putting in to activate the stress dial. All of these different things on the right are areas that we work on in the MBCT protocol, working on detachment, working on curiosity, noticing things instead of prejudging things, open-mindedness, to actually take in more information and to be able to consider and weigh the benefits of, is that something you want to focus on or not? Playfulness, patience, all of these different things are focused on in this program. And you can kind of consider these two different wheels or dials kind of like dimmer switches that have a belt that wrap around them. And if you turned up, for example, the stress dial, you would see, following that belt on the stress dial would go around and then come up the backside of the relaxation dial, which would turn down the relaxation dial. So this is what happens in our stress response. We get stressed, we turn up the sympathetic nervous system, that dial increases, it turns down the relaxation dial or the parasympathetic nervous system, and we're in this state of fight, flight, or freeze, and then swimming in the biochemistry of that with the nervous system related to that being activated. Well, what happens when we turn up the relaxation dial? The opposite happens. It turns that belt, it goes around the stress dial, and then it turns the stress dial down. And this is a key thing to consider because this is what we'll work on in this program. As an example, this diagram here is something that Dr. Herbert Benson created back in the 80s. He was a leading cardiologist at Harvard and found that when he started quite synchronistically working on researching some meditators and how they were controlling their blood pressure and different aspects of their parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems, he found that they actually did it consistently and that they could train themselves to do it. So he started changing his research essentially and researching what he termed the relaxation response, which is essentially turning up the relaxation dial. And this was one of the images he gave and the different mantras that he would use to teach people as they're focusing on this, to train their mind to focus on the ingredients that we saw on that right side: curiosity, open-mindedness, non-judgment. And when that happened and people focused on that, for the time you were focusing on it, you were actually changing yourself biochemically, changing yourself neurologically, changing brain activation. We've shown now meditation practice does. And so 8 weeks. Why is this program 8 weeks? The reason for that, I'll explain that from my background as being a physiotherapist and an exercise physiologist. So when I was training people to get in better shape, or I was training people to go through rehab, both of those things take time. No one rehabs quickly, and no one seems to take themselves from one level of fitness to another level of fitness easily either. It takes dedication, it takes time, it takes consistency, it takes knowledge of how to do that on your own when you're not having a trainer help you anymore. And that's what this program does. So it takes a couple of months to really learn these techniques through daily practice. You'll be doing daily practice at home. We'll meet once a week for 2 hours, and each week there's a different theme that we're focusing on. So in the beginning, we're focusing on concentration. That's the first week. And as we're practicing this daily, and yes, it's daily, and it sounds like a lot of work, and it is. MBCT is not easy, nor is meditation. It is not easy. And again, I'll compare this to exercise. Exercise isn't easy. The more you put in, the more you get out, unless you're doing too much. But that's the same thing with meditation. The more you put in, the more you get out. So this course over 8 weeks will have you meditating every single day at home on your own. When we meet every week, we're doing dedicated exercises. This isn't any sort of talk therapy. This isn't any sort of talking about our past problems or future desires. Everything we're doing is rooted in the moment of our experience of what's going on for us. Even when we talk about the homework we had, we're talking about what arose in the moment. For example, looking at number 2, what arose in your thoughts, in your emotions, or your body sensations? What arises in those moments? That's the key thing, not what our mind is drifting off into. So if you look down the list, you can see some of the different areas that we work on. Over 8 weeks, dedicating almost 45 minutes, sometimes upwards to an hour a day of homework, which is really meditation homework. So you're not opening books, you're not challenging yourself cognitively. Well, I guess in a way you are, because you're learning to meditate. And you will have a monkey mind. Your mind will bounce around, and that's part of the process. You have to go through these steps to be able to train your mind to focus and to let go and to center on things and to accept what comes along the way and what you see arise in your body sometimes, and to let go of it. And you can see going down the list, that's exactly what we're doing. We're practicing these skills from all these different angles. So I'll leave it there. I hope that allows people to understand what MBCT is. I invite you to look at the links that are attached to this, to go to the website if you want, and look at some of the research around MBCT and what it's shown to help with. You can easily go online and look up some videos by different people. For now, the course is offered on Zoom because of COVID, I think, which is another great reason for people to learn these techniques, because we live in such a stressful time right now. And to be able to shut that mind off, which is essentially what you're learning to do. You're learning to shut off thoughts and sit in something else that doesn't have any stress in it, whether it's the clouds, the trees, the silence, body sensations, emptiness, any of these things. You'll learn to do that, and you'll learn to have less stress in your life and essentially add some better health into this system. I hope that's beneficial. And if you have any questions, you can please contact us through the website. And I hope that this encourages you to try some mindfulness meditation, either through Mind Body Health or somewhere else. Until then, take care and keep seeking ways to improve your mind, your body, and your spirit. I'm Kyle.